Hello, Facebook. How are you? I'm going to give everyone a second to pop on, and I'm going to share this out a couple of places. Also, say hi when you log on. Sorry about the lighting in here. The lighting's like... Maybe that's a little better. I don't know if that's better or worse. I have no idea. Sorry, I keep popping in and off of the frame. Okay, that lighting is actually way better. Okay. So, who's ready to learn about some slime? Who's ready to learn about how to become a better parent with slime? That sound good? Parenting sound good? Who here is a parent? Like, really? I know that a lot of my followers are parents. Say hello if you pop on. And we'll get started in just a second. I just know that there's a couple of people that wanted me to share this, so I'm going to do that. Hi, Miranda. Hi, everyone. Let me just share this to my group real quick. Move this way. Hold on, thieves. There you go. Perfect. So, let's get started. So, hello there. For those of you who might not know me, I am Karen Terrace. I am a transformational coach, specifically for parents who are trying to find a way to become more mindful, more present, more conscious, and to teach our kids to do the same thing. And that starts with becoming mindful, conscious people ourselves so that we can then teach the next generation how to do it. This lighting is literally pissing me off, so I'm sorry if I keep like messing with it because it's making me really mad. You can only see part of my face. Okay. Hi, husband. I hope you're having a good day, love. Hi, Sherry. Hello, everyone. Okay, so let's do this. So how are people like slime? Well, we made slime this weekend. This one's gold. How are people like slime? So this was actually the fourth one. Our first attempt at this actually didn't work at all. The recipe that I used called for only 1/4 teaspoon of borax, and it also said Elmer's glue, and we didn't think that it would really matter. We used dollar store glue, and it didn't work. It like did not stick together. It was not like, see how this is like stuck up there? No, that did not happen the first time. So like I want to just start there. Let's start there. Before we do any of the fun things, we're going to play with the slime, we're going to pull it out. But let's just start there with the fact that the first time I tried to make slime, it didn't work at all. Like, we got all the ingredients, we followed the instructions. Like I said, we didn't get Elmer's glue because we figured glue was glue. We followed the instructions and it just was not, like, getting tacky. It wasn't sticking together. We added more water with borax, like, with more borax in it, and it just was not congealing the way it was supposed to, so we had to actually throw that away. That's what I want you to think of your current parenting style as the messy, sticky, goo, slime that like you want to be able to play with it, you want to be able to like stretch it out and make all these cool shapes and stuff, but you can't because everything you're doing, it's just sticking and it's not working and you can't reshape it and it's just this big blobby gooey gross mess in a bowl. That's your currenting parenting style, okay? Even if you have bits and pieces of it, for the most part, I would say more than 90% of the parents that I talk to say that they wish that someone would just tell them how to parent. And we all know that that's not possible, but there is one thing that all parents can do that we forget about. Anybody? Putting ourselves at the top of our to-do list. I just realized that the angle of this is making it so my head is like getting cut off into my... I'm just a really tall person, guys. I can stand back here. Might be better. No, because the lighting sucks. Sorry, my hair just like... This is my hair. It's blending. I fucking hate having to look at myself while I do this, by the way. I might do lives like turned around from now on. So you are in this, you're parenting, you think you know what you're doing, and you're forgetting the one thing. And the one thing is what I've been talking about all summer, which is putting yourself at the top of your to-do list. Your self-care, your personal development, your growth as a human. I'm gorgeous. Thank you, Sherry. I love you. Your growth as a human being is going to directly affect your parenting. So if you don't know how to put yourself on top of your to-do list, how are you ever going to have the time to go read a parenting book? When are you ever going to have the time to go take a parenting class? When are you ever going to have the time to start implementing new discipline strategies in your home if you don't even have the time to shower? So like, that's the very baseline. The very baseline is that you absolutely 100% as the parent, as the one who decided to bring another human or 2 or 3 or 7 humans into this beautiful world, you have to put yourself first. You absolutely 1,000,000%, like nothing I say after this is even gonna fucking matter if you can't even put yourself at the top of your to-do list, because us putting ourselves at the top of our to-do list is a way to show our children that it's okay and it's not a selfish thing. You're not being selfish when you take care of yourself. They're not the same thing. So right now you're a gooey, globby mess of slime that didn't congeal, it didn't work out. You've got like, it's a little bit here, but it's still super sticky and it's just like nothing is working. And you know what I think? You should take that whole damn bowl and just throw it away. Just throw it away. Take everything that you know about discipline and parenting and just throw it the fuck away. Because I can tell you that everything that you've ever learned is wrong. Wrong because we didn't have the brain science that we have now to know what our parenting styles are actually doing to our children and how they're wiring their brains. Neurons that fire together, wire together. So if your child is always in a state of panic, or you're yelling at them, or you're not consistent in what you're doing, you are wiring their brains to assume that all adult or authority figures don't know what they're doing, are not consistent, and that they're just going to get yelled at. You're causing them to distrust not only you, but every other person that would be like a safety authority figure in their life. Now, I am not like super with it with the system. I'm not talking about like paying attention to all your laws and blah, blah, blah. Like I homeschool, I'm a libertarian, got medical cannabis signs everywhere. Like I am not a system person. But when it comes to brain science, I believe the scans, okay? You can see it. You can see the way that your brain is lighting up when they're in these scans and all this stuff, and they are learning that neurons that fire together wire together. So the more you repeat negative actions, even though you know, like you yell at your kid and you immediately are like, ah, shit, I shouldn't have done that. You yelled at him still. So now those neurons in his brain started firing, and they're now wiring together. And every time you yell at him, they're sticking even more, and he's just going to start assuming that all people yell at him. All adults are going to yell at him. All adults are going to think that he doesn't know how to listen. And it's just good. And then you're going to start creating the behavior more and more and more, especially when you say things to them like, why don't you listen? Why don't you know what to do? How come you don't know how to do that? Like all these things that we say because our parents said it to us and their parents said it to them and so on and so forth. The only generation that has ever had access to knowing how it's affecting our children's brains is us. They did not have this shit in the 80s or even the 90s or even the early 2000s. The information that I teach my clients is all from 2010 or later. 2010. So in the last 8 years, the neuroscience from the last 8 years. I'm not teaching you parenting with love and logic. Like, it's great. Consequences are real, but you don't need, there's not a natural consequence for everything. And arbitrary consequences are just ridiculous. Like if your kid isn't doing his homework, taking away his tablet is not, they are not even correlated unless the reason why he's not doing his homework is because he's too much on his tablet. Do you see that? Like those directly correlate with each other. But if he's just like out having fun and hanging out with his friends and like doing all this other stuff and homework doesn't get done, taking away his electronics wasn't the problem. So taking it away isn't going to be the solution either. All it's going to do is piss them off actually. So we've now taken our gooey gloppy slime, We've thrown it the fuck away because it doesn't work. We know it doesn't work. We're sick of the homework battles. We're sick of the nighttime battles. We're sick of the eat your dinner battles. We're sick and tired of all these battles. We're sick of having to punish our kids. We're sick of trying to teach them and them not learning and them not listening. And all of that doesn't matter because that's just the current container you're in. Okay? This is where we're going with this, guys. You are a slime. You could be this. Okay? So let's say your parenting works, okay? For the most part, you feel pretty good about your parenting. There's a lot of yelling. There's probably some spanking. There's a lot of unnecessary consequences. There's a lot of my way or the highway. There's a lot of because I said so. So that could be this slime, okay? This slime, I like that my husband's still watching this. I love you, Ryan. You don't usually watch them all. So you could be this slime, okay? So, like, this slime, you can play with it. Like, it's pretty and can be kind of like you can mush it around a little bit, but for the most part it's staying inside of this container, right? And it's just like these are your rigid, this is your rigid walls. These are your, like, you are so rigid in the way that it's going to be, like, it's my way. These are the house rules. I am the adult. You are the child. You shall listen to me. It doesn't matter what you want. You don't know any better. Okay? That's this. This is if you're parenting, you know, in this very rigid, you know, we're up at 7, we've got school at this time, school goes from this to this, and now you've got this, and now we're going to do homework, and then we've got our after school activities, and now we're going to go to have dinner, and now we're going to go to bed. Like, very regimented, very structured, very rigid. Okay, so that's you inside of this container. Okay? So now, what if you're the opposite? What if you're just like one of those free flow parents, and you're just all like, yeah, you can do whatever you want, like, nothing you do is wrong, and you're just learning, and you can make these decisions, and there's really no consequences, and mommy and daddy will always be here to save you, and you're just the smartest, sweetest, prettiest. Okay, so now you're turning into this slime. Like, it's still got a little bit of structure, but for the most part, it's doing its own thing. It's starting to stretch on its own now, because I'm no longer really containing it or shaping it or doing anything with it. I'm just allowing it to do whatever it wants. And I'm allowing it to, you know, it's getting kind of out of control now. Now it's getting so big, but, oh, I still love you. Oh, you're so good. Oh, you're just too young. It's okay. You're so young. It's fine. You've got plenty of time to learn. Or my favorite, once you're in school, they'll teach you how to do this. Now that we're home, this is for parents that have toddlers. They're going to teach you how to do this in school. So don't worry about it. Or maybe you don't say that to them, but that's what you assume. So that's like the opposite of this container, right? So you can either be this super rigid container parent, or you can be this parent that's just like, these are the kids whose parents never taught them about alcohol abuse, who were the fun parents, who were like that mom on Mean Girls. The mom on Mean Girls, it's like, I'm not a regular mom. This is her. Okay? She has no control over what is happening with her children at all, and they don't have any boundaries, so they're just doing whatever the fuck it is that they want to do, and they're children, so they think that they know, but they don't really know. Okay? By the way, this slime smells. I made smelly slime, so it smells like gingerbread, and it smells really good. It's really funny, actually. So, you can be a parent who is rigid, just like this container, and you fit your kid in there, and everything's, but nothing changes. You're just hard as a rock. Or you can be slimy, let them go, do whatever you want. What if, instead of that, we took everything that we know about parenting, we've now thrown that in the trash. We did that earlier when we realized that our parenting styles were goppy-goopy messes, that we didn't really know what the fuck we were doing. No one ever told us how to parent. Our parents, we know that we don't want to do what they did, but we don't really know what we do want to do. We know everything we don't want to do. We don't want to hit them, we don't want to yell at them, we don't want to ground them, but what do we want to do? What we do want to do is allow them to grow and to stretch in a safe container. Okay? See how I'm holding it at the top? I'm like still a little bit in control, but at the same time it's like it's doing its own thing. It's doing, You know, it's growing, and then I have to come back in here and sort of like, there's a little spot right here that's sticking out, so we're going to push that back in. We're going to keep going. Hi, Shannon. Hi, Darcy. Hi, Jill. Hi, Gilly. Hi, Sharon. Hello, everyone. So we're going along, and it's fine. And oh, but this isn't working anymore. It's getting too long up here, too thin up here. It's going to break off, and all this stuff, all this potential down here, all the things that they don't know yet, that's going to just break off and flop to the floor. So what if I flip it over? I'm still in control. I'm still the one who's really deciding and really helping shape this slime, but it's still doing its own thing. And now all this potential that was stuck before is able to continue to grow. Okay? So our parenting can be like this. You can have some control over what you're doing. By this I mean, again, the personal development, putting yourself first, by figuring out ways to discipline and not punish. What I mean by that is the root word of the word discipline is the word disciple. They come from the same Latin root. Disciple or disop, I don't remember how to pronounce it. It means to teach. Has nothing to do with punishment, not even a little bit. Not at all. Christ didn't punish his disciples. He taught them. Okay? And he molded them, and he helped them to grow and to stretch into their fullest potential, but he didn't punish them. What's the good in punishment? Punishment triggers parts of your brain to go into fight or flight mode and shuts down the whole rest of your brain, so only this tiny little portion of your brain's even working, and it'd be like this much of your brain. Like, that's it. This is all the brain that you're working. All of the rest of it, all of this isn't working as soon as you start to yell and punish your kids because their amygdala is what's in control and they're not listening to you anymore. As soon as you start to yell, they literally turn off. Like, their brains shut off. They're not purposefully doing it. It's a fight or flight. It's a natural mechanism happening in their brain. So if you are a yeller, please know that when you yell, your children cannot hear you. They absolutely cannot hear you. They just hear your tone of voice. They're more fascinated at the fact that you're freaking out than at whatever the fuck it was that caused you to freak out at them. And they can't hear you because their reptilian brain's in charge, not their upstairs brain, just their downstairs brain. So, guys, look at this. Look at this slime. It hasn't broken yet. It's totally out of the screen. And all I've been doing is shifting. Do you notice how many times I've been shifting in this? Pulling it, you know, maybe right here we got to thin it out a little bit. Maybe this is math. Maybe this is where, like, your kid's just totally struggling and you don't know what to do. So you get a little creative and you're able to, stretch it out. But then, oh no, you've got all this bunching happening right here. That's got to be the homework battle, just getting them to do homework at all. So let's work on some creative ways to fix that. Maybe talk to the teacher. Maybe cut down on after-school activities, you know. At this point, guys, I've got this thing folded in half to the ground. So that means you've got over 12 feet of slime happening, because I'm 6 feet tall, happening just from me taking that slime and manipulating it. I just want to try to get it all on the screen. And manipulating it into different ways, but without forcing it. If I were to pull on this at any point, it's gonna just break off, right? Instead, I'm really allowing it to do its own thing by holding it up here, holding it high to these high standards that we should hold our children to, but then it does its own thing and continues to grow and grow and grow until now it's going to go out of this. There you go. Again, same thing's happening over here. Okay? And all of this is happening because I am changing. I am shifting. Okay? The slime is not doing anything. The slime is doing what it's supposed to, which is following the rules of gravity as I adjust it. Just like your children are just doing what they know how to do best, which is very little. Okay? They know how to shit. They know how to eat. Maybe they don't even know how to wipe their ass yet. Maybe you're still in diapers. But they're going to do what they know how to do until you teach them something different. Look, see this side's all super thin? I don't really want it going anywhere. So we're going to hook this up here, and until there's more integrity other places, I'm going to keep that closer. But this area, this can stretch out. This is great. This is doing fantastic. Okay? So what I'm trying to get at, people, is that as you, as the parent, decide to continue to shift and grow and learn and create new... Oops, see, it broke. Just broke right there. I pushed this one section too hard. And maybe this is my child's, like, dance career that is now just completely gone because I didn't handle it with the care that it needed, and now it just disappears. If we try to go back to rigidity, if I try to, okay, you're going to be the best math student that ever was, and we're just, there's all of her interest in math gone. She does not care about math anymore because I pushed her too hard and stretched her too fast. Her self-esteem, oh, you're so pretty. Don't you worry about what those other people say. They say that because they're jealous of you. They're just jealous of you. They're just jealous of the fact that you're so pretty. They're so jealous of the fact that you've got a good family. Like, all these things that we say to our kids that actually ruin them because people aren't jealous. At least kids aren't. Like, maybe as adults we can say that, but as kids, that's not the real thing that's happening. They're making fun of your kid because they're different. And being different isn't the problem, but don't you ever say it's because they're jealous. That's going to give your kids like a false sense of security, and then they're going to reach the real world and be like, why isn't everyone jealous of me? I thought it was so cool. So maybe, but if we work on it, let's say, you guys, I've got so much slime on me. So let's say you're here. You've got, for the most part, pretty good, but there's some places that are just sticky, and it's just not, you just can't figure out how to unwind it, how to undo it. Do you know what you can always do, guys? And this is the craziest part of it all. You always have the option to start over. This is my final piece. Look at that. All of that slime that I had, you see all those individual, like, those are all folded into each other. So maybe we need to do this. Maybe we got to recalibrate for a second and really come back to the basics. So your kid's never going to fit all the way back into where it was, right? Because they're out of your womb. Small going back in. So that's not what I mean by reset. What I mean, I'm going to add and reincorporate these two. What I mean by reset is by going back to the basics. Okay, so this doesn't perfectly fit into this box, but it fits pretty close. So maybe you really have to go back all the way to the basics of truth telling, of accountability, of mindfulness, of being mindful in the moment, how not only you're feeling, but having the mindset and understanding to have empathy for what's happening outside of your child. So I have 3 kids, and the baby isn't really a part of this yet, but she's kind of starting to be now that she's walking around. The sibling situation, guys, I'm an only child. The sibling, whoo, I had no idea about the sibling stuff. The thing about siblings, though, is that as soon as you can get the siblings to understand how the other sibling is feeling in the moment, all of a sudden, they can play together really easily. It's when you just tell your kid what to do or how to act or what to be without the why behind it, without really digging into the emotions that they're feeling as well as that they could have caused in their sibling, then you're not doing anything. Again, you're just teaching your kids neurons that fire together, wire together. You're teaching the kids that some adult's always going to come in and tell them what to do. That's literally what happened to the millennials. Y'all are sitting there complaining about your little teenage, brother or sister, or maybe you're older and you've got a sister that's like in her early 20s that just had a kid or something. You got all these millennials. I'm not technically a millennial. I was born before 1990. You got all these millennials that we don't know what we're doing with our lives because we were helicopter parented. Our parents always swooped in. Our parents always, saved us. We had the very most natural consequence. We didn't have any, and we never learned how to empathize with other people outside of us. We were just told what to do, and if we didn't understand why, we knew that we were gonna get in trouble. So at very least, it was like a safety mechanism that we taught ourselves, not the actual empathy of understanding why we don't treat other people that way. And then we create all these blocks and all these barriers, and then you end up being a parent, and you're like this. This is your idea again of parenting. You got literally nowhere to move, and you're just like, oh, well, I guess I know that I don't want to do what my parents did, but the lid's not even off this, guys. How are you supposed to grow? How are your kids supposed to grow if the container doesn't even have its lid off? Because you're so stuck and so rigid and so convinced that this is just how kids are. All kids are assholes. All kids don't know how to be respectful. All kids just need to be told what to do, how to do it, when to do it. Do you like to be taught or treated that way? Do you? Do you like to be told what to do and how to do and when to do it? What about when you don't feel good? How would you feel if someone's all like, just stop crying? Why are you crying? It's not that big a deal. Just stop it. How would you feel? Honestly, if you were having a shitty day because your car, the tire, last week, perfect example. Tire on your car is not full. You've got a flat tire. You're late for swim lessons. You need to pick up the groceries. Having a shit ass day. And you call your husband. You call your best friend. You call whoever. And you're just looking for a little bit of empathy. Because you're upset, you're crying, all your day is ruined because of your flat tire. And they're like, suck it up, buttercup. Why are you crying over this? It's not that big a deal. You're right. Flat tire isn't that big a deal, but I'm real upset about it, and I don't think that you're a very good friend for telling me that I shouldn't be upset. That is what we are doing to our kids every time they break a toy that was like a $3 toy that we don't understand why they're upset, and they're melting down on the floor. Or even more, when like a parent takes away, or a sibling takes away a toy from another sibling, and you're like, what? Just play with something else. That's not that big a deal. It's fine. You're literally teaching your kids that other people don't give a fuck about how they feel by the time they're 2. By the time a kid actually goes into kindergarten, he's learned more than 50% of the skills he's going to have for his entire life when it comes to socialization. So homeschool my ass. It doesn't matter what you feel about homeschool for a 10-year-old. You're all homeschooling your kid for the most part until they're 3 or 4 and able to go to preschool. I understand there's many parents who don't, but you try and you send them somewhere that you're hoping they're teaching them, right? The socialization skills are wired by the time they go into kindergarten. The nice thing is the brain. So now this isn't you, this is the brain. This is so handy. The brain, in adults it's a little bit harder, but in children, the brain in children is very, very, very moldable. So neurons that fire together, wire together, can be unwired by firing them and wiring them in a new direction. The brain is changeable, and complex. See all those tiny little sparkles? Every one of those sparkles is a neuron firing in your kid's brain. What happens if I go like that? Those neurons aren't wired together anymore, are they? They've been stretched. They've been changed. They've been molded into something else. See how this isn't the same as what we were doing before? Before I was just letting this go, and I was letting this just like do whatever it wanted. Now I'm being very meticulous, very specific, very mindful in how I'm stretching and shaping this brain, how I'm stretching and shaping this kid. Okay? And now, instead of just one long line, which was what our parenting style was, this is your kid's brain, not on drugs. Sorry, that old commercial just popped in my head. And you're able to really shift it and change it. And yeah, it's growing a little bit on its own, but that's because now you've reached this age where they're probably in school at this point. Or they've got social activities, so other people are an influence on them. They've created their own standards. But that's because you took the time to take your blob that you created, their tiny little itty bitty just came out of you brain, like that much of your brain when you first come out, and that's like all you know how to do, and you've now taken the time to help yourself know the proper way to parent, understand how to discipline, understand how to connect, how to redirect, how to use everything as a teaching opportunity, not as a punishment opportunity. That doesn't even mean natural consequences, which is what Parenting in Love and Logic teaches. I mean just teaching. Like, that could be it. That's all you do, is teach your child a lesson and then move on quickly. You don't need to talk a lot during these discipline moments. The less you talk, the better, actually. You don't need to talk right then. You can wait. Like, if you catch your kid in the middle of the night with his tablet, this happens to me a lot. In the middle of the night, when he's supposed to be sleeping at the end of a day, and when you're wanting to put you to sleep, is not the time to have a discipline moment. Okay? You can talk about it in the morning, or you can talk about it at dinner the next night. Like, it totally can put a pause button on disciplining. It's not, especially with older kids. Maybe a little bit harder with younger kids, but younger kids, it really should be like a 30-second thing anyway. So you'll be fine. So now you've taken that little baby brain, and now maybe this is like a toddler brain, okay? Still pretty thick in some areas. There's definitely lots of stuff that's just completely run on instincts. Because before this baby brain, that's all instincts. Like, that baby does not have any consciousness at all, right? Barely even understands that it's a separate entity from you until 18 months, okay? So at 18 months, your baby finally understands that they're not the same person as you. And now you're here, now like a toddler. There's still a lot of thickness going on because it's still just the way they are. Like, when you hear a parenting expert say it's because they're 3, it's because they're fucking 3, okay? 3-year-olds are not the same as 10-year-olds, are not the same as even 6-year-olds. 3-year-olds are still very much working on their instinct, based just on their instincts. 3-year-olds, there's a reason why they're called teenagers. Not the terrible 2s. I tell you what, 2s are easy compared to 3. But at 3, they still have so much to learn that you cannot at all expect them to be at the same level as your older children. So now maybe you're at an older kid. So maybe this is, see, there's like this whole section over here that I'm not even like dealing with because I can't. These are things that are, I don't want to say unchangeable, but like pretty set. You know, it's a lot harder, and it's harder to control and harder to shape. And then you get even further, and you've got this teenager, and you're like, shit, I've totally lost control of my teenager. What do I do? Karen, help me. Please help me figure it out. All you have to do is have some creative flexibility and move it. Do you see that? I did that, though. That is my point. Your child is not going to know. They don't have the skills because your brain isn't fully formed until you're 25 to do anything with this. They're going to just keep going on this path. Let's say this is your brain on drugs right now, and you as the parent have done nothing at all, and you just let it keep slipping down that slippery roll. Or you smash them all up and you put them back into this box, and you've completely stifled them and wonder why there's so much trust issues with you. Because it wasn't the whole brain that needed to be worked on, it was just the part that was doing drugs. You know, some of the areas around there. Let's see if I can unstick this. Okay, and then let's say that's exactly what happened. You know, you guys, there's plenty of places in my life as a parent that I feel like I have totally fucked up and there's just no way I'm ever going to get it back. Do you know what I mean? But at the same time, I, as the adult, have the ability to figure it out, to really peel back the layers, to get to know my kid. What a fucking novel concept. Instead of sending them off to be taught by other people. So, I could keep going, but I won't. I hope you all enjoyed my little slime-o-vision and your mini parenting lesson today. Remember, biggest takeaways. Don't be rigid. And definitely don't be this person. Don't be the person that hates parenting, that has fucking psycho kids that scream and freak out all the time, and then even begin to dare to tell me that you want to be a better parent because your lid isn't even off yet. Hello? Hello? It's me, it's Karen, your parenting coach. I'm calling. I want you to pick up the phone because you hate being a parent, but you have 3 children and you don't know what else to do and you have nowhere to go, but you're not even listening because you think you know better even though you know you have no fucking clue what you're doing. You can be this parent who's like taking in some information, but for the most part is all like, no. no cigarettes, no alcohol, no bad television, no violence, no this is how my life is, this is our schedule, this is our rigidity, these are the schools you're going to go to, this is the college you're going to go to, this is how you're going to act, this is what you're going to wear. Like, this has more information coming in, but really not very much. You can still only go as far as the container will allow you to go. And then eventually you're going to reach the bottom and just like break on the bottom, and nobody wants that, right? Okay. You can be the parent who just lets your kid do whatever the fuck they want, whenever the fuck they want, and totally free range. Honestly, this kid is way better off than this kid still. Like, honestly. But then your kid just turns into like a crazy hippie and you don't know what to do with them anymore. At like 6. And you've just completely screwed yourself because they don't have any trust in you. They have no reason to think that you're an authority figure. They don't know why all of a sudden you're trying to parent. So it's going to be a lot harder to get that hole out of the middle. This hole that's starting to be created, that's the one that you created when they were really young, when you didn't parent them, when you didn't have any discipline, that you weren't teaching them anything. You just let them do whatever they want and just hope that they did better next time. Okay? Yeah? Or you can be the type of parent that I am trying to be, that my husband, beautiful husband who watched this whole thing, is trying to be. Sherry, Darcy, I know a lot of you guys are parents. You can be the parent that realizes that your kid's brain is changing. It's going to change. If I just hold it like this, guys, it's going to start doing stuff on itself. It's going to start melting on its own. It'll start doing there, okay? Your child's brain is changing, changeable, and very, very complex. And all you have to do, all you as the parent have to do, is decide that you are worth the change, that you are worth the personal development, that you are worth unlearning all of the things that society and your parents and generations have taught you about parenting. So that once you do, you have the ability to do this. And you're not just sitting there hoping that things go well. Now, I don't know what to do. I know that I don't want to do any of this crap. I don't want her to be in the box, so I'm definitely not going to put her in the box, but I don't know what else to do. So it's just going to go like this, and hopefully it works out. No. You can become the parent who's actively involved, whose kids trust you to come talk to you about the bigger issues once they're grown up, and not even adult, like once they're teenagers, who understand that there is not rigidity, but consistency between how you parent and what the expectations are. Those high standards we were talking about before. Okay, holding your kids to this high standard so that it's got all this room. They have all this room to stretch and grow by themselves. And all you have to do is kind of give them a little bit of help. They don't need a ton of help, guys. They just need consistency. They just need someone to continuously be going around and helping them and stretching them and pushing them without becoming rigid, right? We still go with the flow. This is what I call creative flexibility, okay? It's beautiful. Look at how gorgeous this is. This is becoming a work of art just by me slowly going around the edges, helping the boundary in the container to stretch to its new level. And then it's creating all these, you guys can't really see it, I wish my other camera had, but like creating all this space, and then they're going to learn how to become their own person this way, and they're going to stretch and grow. And you see that little hole in the middle is still there, but it's not affecting everything else anymore. So that's what I mean by you can change it, okay? So maybe you started out in one way, it's still there, but now you've stretched it and helped compensate and moved and changed other parts of how you interact with your children. So this hole now isn't, like, it's not really a big deal, right? And for them, that's going to be their hole of all the shit that they don't want to teach their kids. Because realize also, by getting a parenting coach, of all kinds of coaches that are out there, a parenting coach saves you, saves your spouse, saves your kids, saves your grandkids, your great-grandchildren, 5 generations from now. 5 generations from now, you could be the one who changed everything for every member of your family because you took the time to throw away the gloppy, gloopy mess of slime that didn't work to begin with and started your own beautiful creation of parenting. So, thank you so much. That was a really long outro. If anyone is interested in working with me one-on-one, I did just open 5 new spots. I'm really excited. It should help you to kick off 2019. Like, it'll help you get through the holidays. Like, oh my God, when is like the worst time for parenting? For me, it's the holidays because there's all these stuff going on and all that. Like, what are your expectations and who's going where and all this other stuff. It's an amazing time for you to start your self-care practice now so that by the time January comes, it's just already a part of you don't have to New Year's resolution your way into self-care because you've already been doing it. You can already have been working on your personal development from now until then so that when it's January starts, you're already ahead of the curve on your New Year's resolution. So I will leave the link in the comments here for anyone who wants to apply to be a one-on-one client. It includes weekly calls, worksheets from me, emails from me. Like, also I help you to really step in to becoming a mindful, conscious parent who has no drama discipline, who is able to take a moment and step back and not react and, actually have fun and be responsible for the family that you created instead of just pawning them off. Or hoping that other people will teach them, or, how do I deal with these uncomfortable conversations that I need to have with my kids? All this stuff going on in the culture right now. Do you think that your teachers are teaching your kids about rape culture? Probably not. How about medical cannabis? Probably not. How about health issues, obesity, all this other stuff? Like, more than just don't eat crappy food. Like, they're not. I can guarantee you the public school teachers don't have time to do that. So you have to have the ability to do that. I'm not saying every person should homeschool, but you should have the toolbox at your disposal so that when your kids come to ask those hard questions, you're not unprepared. You're not sitting there like, oh shit, I have no idea how to have this extremely uncomfortable conversation with my child. Because parenting is all about uncomfortable conversations. It starts at the very beginning with the first postpartum poop where you're like, babe, I don't know what to do. It goes all the way. So, thank you all for watching. I'll leave the link in the comment for my one-on-one application, and I hope that you all enjoyed. I love you.